Imagine opening your phone and realizing there is no one you can text with good news. Not because you're a terrible person, but because somewhere along the way your connections quietly thinned out until they were gone. Researchers warn that chronic loneliness can damage health almost as much as heavy smoking, and brain scans show that social pain activates the same regions as physical pain. This isn't just being dramatic, it's biology, quietly rewriting a life. This is the hidden psychology of people who have no friends. For Alex, it didn't start with a dramatic betrayal. It began years earlier with tiny moments that seemed too small to matter. Not being picked for playground games, a birthday party everyone was invited to, except them. A friend who slowly stopped replying but kept posting with other people. Psychology calls this social learning. The brain quietly records each disappointment and starts pairing vulnerability with pain. Over time, Alex didn't decide, "I don't need friends." Their nervous system simply learned, reaching out is dangerous. Stay small, stay safe. Years later, Alex thinks they're simply bad at people. But inside their skulls, something subtler has happened. Brain scans of chronically lonely individuals show decreased activity in regions that read facial expressions and interpret social cues. It's not that they don't care. It's that their brain has adapted to an environment where connection rarely arrives. Neural pathways are like trails in a forest. The ones we stop walking slowly disappear. Alex's brain, trying to protect them, begins to quietly forget how to navigate closeness. From the outside, Alex's life looks quiet, but inside it's anything but. Without real conversations to process experiences, their internal dialogue becomes a constant echo. They replay old moments frame by frame, a joke that fell flat, a text they never answered, a coffee they were too anxious to schedule. They rehearse future conversations that never happen, editing imaginary replies until they're perfect. The mind becomes both refuge and prison, a place where Alex is free to be themselves, but also where every thought loops with no reality check. By now, Alex's brain has drawn a clear conclusion. People leave. People forget. People don't really mean it. So when a coworker cancels plans, Alex doesn't think, "They're busy." They think, "Of course, I knew it." This is hypervigilance to rejection, seeing danger in every delay, distance, or neutral expression. It's a survival strategy that once protected Alex from real pain, but now it misfires constantly. The tragedy is that the more they brace for rejection, the more tense and distant they seem, pushing people away before they even arrive. Despite what stereotypes say, many people without friends are not socially clueless. They're hyper-aware. Alex notices the joke that sounds a little too forced, the smile that doesn't reach the eyes, the compliment that feels transactional. After years of observing from the sidelines, they've developed a fine-tuned radar for insincerity. This is a strength, but also a curse. Once you clearly see the performances most people accept as normal social glue, it becomes hard to play along. Alex doesn't want an audience. They want something real, and they'd rather stay alone than fake it. Friendship doesn't just give us company. It gives us a mirror. When someone laughs at our jokes, remembers our preferences, or says, "That's so you," they help shape our sense of who we are. Alex doesn't have that. Without that reflective surface, their self-image is built mostly from criticism and assumptions. They fixate on flaws, dismiss strengths, and assume they're forgettable. Psychologists call this distorted social self-concept, seeing yourself through imagined rejection. When someone does show genuine interest, Alex's first instinct isn't joy, it's suspicion. Alex doesn't want dozens of casual acquaintances. They dream of one or two people they can be fully themselves with, people who can sit through silence without discomfort, who ask real questions and stay for the answers. But here's the paradox. Most friendships are built slowly through small, imperfect interactions. Small talk, shared jokes, light banter. Alex, tired of superficiality, tries to skip straight to depth. For others, that intensity can feel overwhelming or abrupt. They don't realize Alex is trying to offer their most honest self from the start. Over time, Alex becomes very good at being alone. They build rich inner worlds, creative projects, and routines that require no one else. Home feels like the only place where they can finally drop their guard. But solitude has a strange curve. At first, it heals, then it hardens. The longer Alex stays inside their safe bubble, the more foreign other people feel. Anxiety spikes before even small interactions. What began as self-protection quietly turns into self-imprisonment, with comfort and fear living in the same room. When Alex finally does interact with people, it feels like trying to speak a language they once knew but forgot. Jokes come out slightly delayed. They second-guess every comment. Afterward, they replay the entire interaction, convinced they were awkward or boring. This is social rust, the natural clumsiness that appears when skills aren't practiced. But Alex doesn't see it as rust. They see it as proof that something is fundamentally wrong with them. So they withdraw again, not realizing that the cure for social rust is exactly what they now fear: more gentle practice. Society quietly expects friendship as proof of being a functional adult. You're supposed to have a group to invite you out, someone to list as an emergency contact, people to bring to weddings. Alex knows this, so they learn to perform normalcy. They smile and say, "Yeah, things have just been busy," when asked about their weekend. They avoid events that require a +1. They become experts at changing the subject whenever conversation brushes too close to their reality. The performance protects them, but it also keeps anyone from ever really knowing them. When Alex scrolls through social media, it feels like pressing their face against the glass of other people's lives. Group photos, inside jokes, endless birthday posts. Intellectually, they know it's a highlight reel. Emotionally, it feels like a scoreboard where they have 0 points. Sometimes, online communities give Alex a lifeline. Anonymous spaces where they can finally say, "This is how it feels," and someone replies, "Me too." But even then, closing the laptop brings the ache back. Attention is not the same as intimacy, and likes are not the same as being known. Without shared experiences to mark time, Alex's days blur together. Weekends stretch out like blank pages. Holidays feel strangely loud from the outside and painfully silent on the inside. At night, when others are texting friends or reliving the day with someone, Alex lies awake, mind racing. They store up stories, jokes, and observations, imagining a future friend they'll someday tell everything to. But as months pass, those stories grow stale. This is emotional hoarding, saving up connection for a someday that keeps not arriving. If Alex sits in a therapist's office one day and tells this story, the most important sentence they could hear is, "Nothing about this makes you defective." Every reaction, hypervigilance, withdrawal, overthinking, emotional self-reliance, was an adaptation to pain. The brain did what it was supposed to do: protect. People without friends often carry extraordinary sensitivity, observation, and depth, the very qualities that could make them remarkable friends. The problem isn't that they're too much or not enough. It's that their survival strategies never got the message that the danger has passed. Healing for people like Alex rarely begins with a sudden best friend. It starts with small, almost unremarkable choices: replying to a message instead of overthinking it, saying yes to a low-stakes invite, allowing one honest sentence to slip into a conversation. Each act is a tiny vote against the old belief that they are unworthy or impossible to know. One day, Alex will sit across from someone and feel that rare click of recognition. "You too? I thought I was the only one." In that moment, all the quiet years of waiting will finally feel like preparation, not punishment.